Did you know that lunar gardening, aka aligning specific gardening tasks by the phases of the moon, has been practiced for millions of years? The Egyptians used lunar phases to predict when the Nile River would flood and then plan their gardening tasks accordingly. Native American tribes like the Mashantucket Pequot had different names for the moon, like worm moon, which signaled the return of the earthworms and the return of spring, or the corn planting moon, which signaled the perfect time to plant corn. The big question for modern gardeners is, what exactly is lunar gardening? How does it work? And does it actually work in real life? I have scoured the internet for hours, and I think I have the answer to this question. Okay, so first things first, what exactly is lunar gardening? Lunar gardening is the ancient practice of aligning specific gardening tasks with the phases of the moon. This is all based on the belief that lunar cycles can influence plant growth positively, causing major growth in the stems, the leaves, and the roots. And here's exactly how it works. In a typical calendar month, we have about 30 days. Each week has its own moon phase, and as the days go by, the moon changes shape. The moon is always bigger and brighter at the first part of the month, and that's called waxing. Toward the end of the month, the moon gets smaller and dimmer, and this is called waning. Lunar gardeners believe the first week of the month is good for planting leafy annuals like kale and spinach. And this is when the moon is going from new moon to waxing crescent. The second week is good for planting fruiting crops like tomatoes and watermelon. And this is when the moon is shifting from first quarter to waxing gibbous. The third week is beneficial for planting root crops like carrots and potatoes. And at this point, the moon is shifting from full moon to waning gibbous. The fourth week is great for pruning, harvesting, and weeding. And this is when the moon is moving from last quarter to waning crescent. Okay, so now that we know exactly what lunar gardening is and what lunar gardeners believe, we got to dig a little bit deeper. What is the rationale for believing that the moon can actually influence plant growth in such a tremendous way? The rationale behind these practices is that the moon's gravitational pull can affect sap movement within plants. So basically what this means is that lunar gardeners believe that when the moon is waxing, aka getting bigger and brighter, it's pulling sap upward, and as the sap goes upward, this is stimulating growth in the stem and the leaves. But by contrast, when the moon is waning, aka getting smaller and dimmer, lunar gardeners believe that the sap is now descending away from the leaves and the stems and going down towards the roots. And that's going to stimulate growth in the root area, which is why lunar gardeners believe that when the moon is waning, aka smaller and dimmer, it's a great time to plant root crops like potatoes and carrots like we discussed before. Since the sap is going to those areas, all of the growth will be prioritized there, and basically that's the whole rationale. So let's tackle the first claim. Does the moon's gravity significantly affect plants on Earth? To answer this question, we need to review Newton's law of universal gravitation. This states that the force of attraction between two objects is directly proportional to their mass and inversely proportional to the distance between their centers. So what does this mean? This means that all objects attract one another, but the gravitational force between them depends on how heavy the two objects are and how close they are to each other. Just by this understanding alone, the moon and an individual plant on Earth will always have a weak gravitational relationship. Why? Well, the moon is roughly 1.2% of Earth's mass. The chance of it affecting something even smaller on Earth, like a really tiny plant, is like slim to none. I know this question is going to come up, and this is an important time to address it. If the moon can affect the ocean as much as it can, moving tides in, moving tides out, why on earth would it not be able to move the sap within plants? Let's go back to Newton's law of universal gravitation. In order for two objects to have a very strong gravitational attraction, they have to be large in mass and close to each other. We already know that the moon is pretty big, but the thing about the ocean is it's pretty big too, and it's collectively one thing, aka its total mass is humongous. The reason the moon's gravity can affect ocean tides is because the ocean is vast and heavy, aka heavier than one individual plant. And what do we also learn from Newton's law? Any two objects will have a stronger gravitational attraction if they are closer to each other. So think of it like this. The ocean is close to the Earth. I mean, it's basically sitting on top of it, touching it, kissing it, whatever you want to call it. So the ocean is going to have a stronger gravitational attraction to the Earth. This is the exact reason that we don't see the ocean floating off into space. The gravitational force of the Earth is so strong that it's pulling the ocean down and literally holding it to the Earth. But the moon is big enough and the attraction between the moon and the ocean is strong enough that the moon can pull the tides in and out, back and forth. But an individual plant is a little bit too small for the moon to even register as something that it can work its gravity on, let alone the sap inside of a plant. Basically, to sum it all up, the moon versus your watermelon plant equals a weak gravitational relationship. No sap is going to be moving anywhere anytime soon within that plant. The moon versus the entire ocean, a much stronger gravitational pull. Those are two large masses that are way more attracted to each other and therefore can respond to each other with a gravitational reaction. Sap movement is actually governed by transpiration and root pressure within a plant, not the phases of the moon. And these things actually occur due to environmental factors like temperature, humidity, and even sunlight. The next question is, does moonlight influence plant growth or flowering? This is going to be a pretty quick one. The first thing we should know is that the illuminance that the moon puts out compared to the sun is super tiny. You can easily see this by Googling the amount of lux, aka the measurement of unit for illuminance that the sun puts out versus the moon. A full moon gives off between 0.05 to 0.1 lux, while a full sun gives off about 120,000 lux. Even with a full moon, is too weak to drive any type of photosynthesis within a plant, which would be the thing that would stimulate growth overall. So the claim that the moon's light can influence plant growth is not actually true. The next question is, does the moon's magnetic field affect plant growth? This will actually be another quick one. Unlike Earth, the moon actually does not have a global magnetic field. Apparently, there are some localized magnetic anomalies on the moon, but even when we do see those occur, they are nothing compared to the Earth's magnetic field. So the unit of measurement for magnetism is called a Tesla. The moon's magnetic anomalies are roughly 1 to 2 nanoteslas strong, while the Earth's magnetic field is roughly 25 to 65 microteslas strong. That means the Earth's magnetic field is 10,000 to 50,000 times stronger than the anomalies that occur on the moon. So current research shows no biological impact whatsoever of lunar magnetism on plant growth. So now that we've gone through every claim, what was proven and what was disproven? So at this point, it's pretty clear that neither lunar gravity or lunar magnetism can significantly affect any type of growth in plants, whether that's through affecting sap movement in a plant or moonlight somehow jump-starting a nighttime photosynthesis. I want to be clear and say that this does not mean that lunar gardening is useless. It just means that for the claims outlined in this specific video, lunar gardening had little to no impact. The moon gave ancient societies a calendar system for organizing labor, optimizing seasonal timing, and tracking various plant activities. From what I've found, I think lunar gardening was less of a plant optimization system and more of a way to track agricultural activities. So what do you think? Is lunar gardening something that you would try, or is it just not your thing? And if you have tried it, please comment below with the results. Did it actually work? I would be so curious to know. Until next time, happy gardening.